Okay, so I wrote something. I've tried to fucking make this video where I like read it for people who are struggling with cognitive impairment as a result of directed energy weapons, but I'm just like not really able to do that. Writing is just I'm disabled too, and so some things I can do and some things I can't. But you guys need to go read that if you haven't read it. If you are a senior citizen, if you have a past or present current criminal record, if you are struggling with a disability, if you have any kind of severe trauma at all, if you are poor, if you are a single woman, if you are actually all women, but really because subjugation of women is just something that men love to do no matter what. And then, but especially if you were a single woman living alone when you were targeted, or if you were a single mother, if your children have disabilities, if your children have been targeted, all of that, they are, this autonomous weapon system and the neurological weapon system, which is directed energy weapon bioeffects specifically, is targeting people's cognitive vulnerabilities. And cognitive vulnerabilities are all of those identities. Cognitive vulnerabilities can even be used to like reinforce a system of eugenics when you're trying to essentially sort through a population of people and kill them. And then also, this leaves a specific population of people extremely vulnerable to serial killer death cults like cartels and accelerationists. 764 is an accelerationist group. Other white supremacist Nazi acceleration groups, far leftist anarchy groups are also accelerationists. They are all serial killers, and they will definitely prey on a community of people that have been written off based on a system of eugenics. Targeted individuals don't really get the luxury of being ideologically aligned because ideology is just another tool of mind control. So we're kind of really in no man's land when it comes to this. I had to leave a lot of my liberal views behind in order to understand my targeting and in order to understand the modus operandi of these cyber terrorist extremist ideological cults and groups and criminal organizations, etc. So I am just like basically dissecting the way that they are using a wireless BCI as a cognitive weapon to dissect my mind, trying to determine what motivates them, and then using the experiences of other TIs to kind of conceptualize this. But I want to go back to cognitive vulnerabilities. Autonomous weapons systems are something that can be exploited by everybody. Including independent hackers who are using powerful open source AI to create powerful technologies that can allow them to hack into critical infrastructure and that kind of thing. It is actually really normal for groups of hackers on dark web servers to access critical infrastructure and exploit its vulnerabilities in ways that make them just as powerful as governments. And this includes organized crime too. So this is why I'm always talking about acceleration or violent extremists in accelerationist movements and cartels and that kind of thing, because they have businesses to run. Accelerationist groups and cults often have huge human trafficking rings that they run and that they generate a profit from. And so do cartels. And a lot of what targeted individuals are experiencing is just sadism in the form of torture and sex trafficking being done with neurological weapons. And I want to be clear too, neurological weapons are just inverted malicious use of neurotechnology, okay? So when you say neurotechnology, when you invert a neurotechnology from being used to diagnose or assess or treat, and you use it maliciously, neurotechnology becomes a neurological weapon. And so that's why I am telling everybody that directed energy bioeffects are really just neural engineering. It really is just the same tech that we see in hospitals being used to treat and assess people. It's just being used. It's just being used maliciously. So when I am talking about neural engineering, when I am talking about wireless BCIs, when I am talking about all of this neurotechnology, I am talking about its inverted use being used to cause cognitive degradation as it's being converged with directed energy that's all around us, like RF and microwave, etc. The convergence. Well, actually, and here's the other thing too, is that like the more you learn about neurotechnology, the more you realize it is really just directed energy. So, listen, I am not formally educated, so yeah, I'm just it's a process. So the point is that cognitive vulnerabilities are being exploited by the autonomous weapon system, by surveillance fabric systems like Isaac, that are then being exploited by warring factions like all of the groups I just mentioned, and that is leading to this global humanitarian crisis in the form of targeted individuals from specific communities of people or from a specific socioeconomic stratus being targeted specifically because of their vulnerabilities. And this is all part of an autonomous weapons system. And this is everything that the UN and human rights organizations that have already tried to conceptualize this have described as cyber torture, have described as the ethical issues surrounding the deployment of things like autonomous weapon systems. And we need to be having a conversation about all of that as the community of people that are all of those ethical issues already attached to surveillance infrastructure being abused by as a method of war. So it's already something that they were worried about. When you deploy algorithmic neurological warfare and you tell it to target a specific group of people, that system is going to target people indiscriminately. When you're talking about depopulation being necessary because violent technocrats are competing with people for things like water, for things like food, for things like land, of course they're going to algorithmically write off part of the population. It's fucked up, okay? But to efficiently cull the herd, which implies dehumanization, slavery, eugenics-based extermination, okay? All of those things were already issues that were being discussed when it came to systems like autonomous weapon systems, the electromagnetic warfare component of those autonomous weapon systems, and the specific problems and ethical issues that were attached to those systems as a result of how they function as algorithms, okay? And that's what targeted individuals are experiencing. And then you have the very human component of psychopathy, where you're just going to have groups who are going to see that a certain group of people has been written off as expendable and are going to capitalize off of that as serial killing, sex trafficking, etc. And that's what I am seeing. And the more I dig into people's stories, the more I notice the patterns of abuse, the more I notice basically the timeline and the way targeted individuals have experiences have evolved over time, the more it's all I can see is just autonomous weapon systems exploiting cognitive vulnerabilities, writing people off based on a system of eugenics, and then those people whose lives have been determined to be forfeit or expendable being preyed upon by violent serial killing psychopaths who just like to kill people and hurt people and have turned it into a business, and that business is human trafficking. So, and human trafficking can be everything from sexual slavery to experimentation, etc. It can be all of that. And that's what I'm saying happening with TIs. So, if you guys could just please go and read that post that I posted, high-tech guerrilla warfare. And I know that I threw around a lot of terms in there. And I'm going to try to simplify that too, and turn them into like questionnaires and start distributing them through the TI community. But it's basically literally them converging, neurotech with AI and surveillance infrastructure, and like turning it into this really powerful neurological weapon. And enslaving people with it, and then trafficking the survivors of this, or the population that the social credit system has deemed valuable, into this totalitarian system of micromanaged coercive control that where they control every aspect of a person's life, even down to their thought process, and also like surveil their homes, and like torture people using closed loop feedback systems to nudge them into behavior and thinking that's compliant with the state. And that's basically like a totalitarian, like, tyranny, violent dictatorship, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's what this is. And then you just have the element of corruption and geopolitical instability too, that have always plagued the system, which is why TIs have been targeted for like decades. So that's what I'm seeing. But I talk about the system. I talk about wireless BCIs now being used as cognitive weapons, where before it probably would have just been like more of the microwave technology and that kind of thing, the stuff that causes people's skin to deteriorate, the tissue to break down because of the heating and the breakdown of the cells, and leading to those bruises. So it started off as like those weapon systems being tested out on the public, and then has evolved to more complicated neurological weapons like wireless BCIs and that kind of thing. So, but it's all the same system. It's all an autonomous weapon system. It's all directed energy weapons being tested out on people. It's all human trafficking. There's a component of corruption. There's a component of vulnerability being exploited by independent malicious terrorists. And then so please read that. I think it's going to be really important, because TIs need to come together, and we want to come together under the abuse of the surveillance state, which includes the directed energy weapons that are already built into the surveillance state, the abuse of IoTs, the abuse of violent psychopaths using the surveillance state to observe the trafficking of their victims, however that may be, or to violently suppress, subjugate, and silence and discredit someone. All of that is the same system being abused by different perpetrators to hurt people, and specifically to target vulnerability or to create vulnerability as an alibi. So this is and it's already everything that people have been talking about when it came to ethical issues surrounding autonomous weapon systems, and ethical issues surrounding cyber torture, which has now evolved into cyber physical torture, as a result of neurotechnology being able to interface with a person's neurobiology and create sensations, and the surveillance state expanding from like physical Zurzistung to the manipulation of people's neurobiology en masse, either by using AI as like direct mind programming, or by deploying through extended reality a brain net of Stasi-style surveillance perpetrators who abuse this legal gray area and lack of disclosure specifically to subjugate, traffic, or torture people and hurt people and rape people for entertainment. So, but it's all the surveillance state. It's all an autonomous weapon system. It's all critical infrastructure being exploited. It's all wireless signal being deployed as a weapon. It's all the same. It's the same system abused by a wide and even more widening group of perpetrators who are being able to access those vulnerabilities. So, yeah, just please go and read that. It's going to be so important. It's also why globally these weapon systems and the true extent of surveillance is censored. And it's also why the attempt to dismantle the ICC court is not just a U.S.-Israel thing. It's a global thing because AI is causing a global collapse. Why? Because more and more perpetrators can abuse the surveillance state to hurt people, and those people are going to be some of the most, if not the most, like children, vulnerable people. That does include BRICS too, and so this is a global dismantling of anything that can record human rights abuses because of what is happening in the realm of electromagnetic warfare.